Okay, so we have created a little bit of a rig here in the previous video, and now we're going to add on to that rig, and I wanted to talk a little bit about how these points are hosted on these lines. So we had hosted points on these lines, one in the middle of this line, one in the middle of this line, drew a line between those, and now hosted a point on that line to get the center of this. If I pick this point, as I showed before, it is hosted to that line, but you also get a rotation angle and you get a normalized curve parameter with a normalized curve parameter distance. So what it's doing when normalized curve parameter is selected, which is the default, is it's making that line into one unit and putting it halfway between. It's actually a very efficient way to deal with variable distances in objects. It's just make it one and that's always in the middle. That way it doesn't have to do any math and divide that in two and place that down. It's used in programming and stuff a lot, so I just wanted to point that out because we're going to sort of leverage some of that. So what I want to do now is I want to create a circle that's in the center of this. So I'm going to come along, and it would be great if I could host it on this point, but this point is perpendicular to this line because it's hosted. So I'm going to use this point to draw a line directly up. We're going to draw a circle on that. So I'm going to go to reference line, and I'm going to go to draw on plane and set, and I'm going to set that point as my current plane. And if I draw directly up without 3D snapping on, I need to turn 3D snapping off, it will host to that point. So, and I'm using the blue alignment lines to get it vertical. Come to my modify to stop the command. Now you'll see that this is hosted to that. So basically what I've got, come over here and put this back at 0.5, I've got adaptive points that have lines hosted to them, or curves. Then I have points hosted to those curves, another line going through there, and a point hosted to that, and then a line hosted to that. So you're basically building a series of bones that are connected. Now once I have this, I can place another point on there, right? And I want, you see how the point is staying large? If I click on that, it'll be in that line plane, but if I can move it off, you see it's not actually hosted to that line. In order for it to host, I need to come in, and when I create the point, it needs to be on draw on face, which even though it says face, that means like stick to an item. So if I have draw on face, you'll see that it'll get small and it will host. So now that's hosted. If I pick this one and I want it to host, I can always pick new host up here and then it will host. Now I have 2 points, only need one, so I'll delete that one. So now I'm going to pick this point and draw a circle on it, and that'll give me a circle that is parallel with the ground plane. So I'll just go to, we'll do a model circle for this one because this one will be visible when we place it in the family. And draw on plane, set that plane. Whoops, I must have lost. So model, circle, set, there, and draw the circle. Now I can set a radius parameter on this one like we've been doing. Picking that, and radius. Okay, and we'll leave that as type for right now. Now what I want to do is I want to come in and I want to give it an angle parameter. If I select this point down here, and I'm going to tap my tab key to get that selection, you'll see that there's a rotation angle. These gray boxes on the right hand side of these are associate family parameters. So it will take this property, or really this instance parameter, and associate it with a parameter in your family types dialog box so you have access to it there. So I'm going to left click on this gray box and I'm going to make a new parameter for this. So this is just going to be angle, and I'll click OK, and I'll click OK. Now if I open up my family types dialog box, I have radius and angle. So if I come in and I put in 15 in here and hit apply, right, it's going to rotate that. And obviously if I change this to 6 and hit apply, it's going to do that. So I have a generic model adaptive family, I have 2 parameters, and now I'm going to make what are called types. Types are just they just catalog different settings of the parameters so you have access to them. So I'm going to come up here, and under type name is a new type. And so we'll name this, we'll just name it type 1 for right now. And so type 1 has these settings, a radius of 6 and an angle of 15. I'll make a new one, call it type 2, and we'll change this to 32, and we'll change this to 2 feet. Okay, and apply. So now if I come out, that rotated further and made it 2 feet. And if I go back to my family types dialog box, I have two types. I have a type 1 and a type 2. Okay, so it's just cataloging those. Now another thing that I may want to control is the height of this line. So I'm going to pick that, make that dimension permanent, and put a height parameter on that guy. And I'm going to leave these all at types for right now. Okay, so if I go to my family types dialog box, maybe for the larger circle I want this to be 3 feet. So now that's higher up in the air. So I'm going to go ahead and save this, and when we come back we'll apply it. Okay.